Rob Callister is joining us in the studio. The debate, the conversation, the who's to blame issues on the Isle of Man rally continue. And you're here because with your hat on, you're responsible for motorsport. I mean, that's what we did.
Motorsport and tourism, political, at a political level, yes.
Okay, so this, why did we never talk to you actually? Why did you not come up in this list of people to talk to? Does the buck not stop with you as such then?
I think some of the criticism that Chris Robershaw had said in his interview with you yesterday, I think if he's looking for resignations, then he should be asking for mine.
Are you going to resign on it?
No, I don't have to, because I think I've been involved in these discussions and I need to put clarity and put the facts out into the public domain.
Okay, it's been a cock-up and everyone's throwing bits at everybody else. Everyone's to blame, but no one's taking any responsibilities.
Agreed. So let me put the facts on the tape and we'll go through the process.
And you've been at the same meetings that Chris Robertshaw's been to?
We've been to one meeting, and that was held around about the 19th of July. But
so yours are other meetings?
Let me put some clarity here.
Okay.
We have two sections. We have within DFE, we have tourism, and we also have the motorsport. The motorsport team focus around the TT, the Festival of Motorcycling, etc. Within our tourism sector, there's also an events management team within that. Over any particular year, there are hundreds of events held here in the Isle of Man, which we have no involvement in. There is other events that need support, financial support, underwriting, and they are all relating to boosting our tourism visitor experience and the number of people who come into the Isle of Man. So in total, there's around about 30 to 40 different events that apply each year, and they apply via, because I always get the name wrong, the Tourism Event Development Scheme.
Great name.
Agreed. So they apply through that, and we review those each year, and we give an element of financial support, or we give an underwrite, and that is very crucial, because that underwrite is if something goes wrong, if something event happens at that event. So it could be weather dependent, etc. So we don't get involved in those events at all. We're there if we need support. Now, if we fast forward to when they made the original announcement in July, as an MHK myself, but more importantly with a tourist hat on and with my motorsport hat on, I actually got straight in touch with John Gill and other people within Isle of Man Rally to ask what happened. I also had quite a lot of conversations with Ralph Peake, Chris Robershaw, just to see what happens.
Can you start it? He says about the third or fourth largest event outside, in the sporting calendar. Do you concur? I mean, this is a numbers game.
I
right?
haven't got the numbers.
Do you think it is? Do you feel it is? I mean, he's saying that.
Okay, I will clarify that. I think it's a massive event for the
hoteliers, for the economy.
Everything else. And I've been on the phone the last 3-4 days speaking to so many hotels and so many accommodation providers. That's why I've come to do the interview today, because it's very important when Chris Robershaw is saying that the tourism is not listening to the industry, we're not engaging, and we didn't do enough for this event. Yes, we did. Now, if I go to that meeting on the 19th of July, which had 4 or 5 MHKs, 1 MLC, who has responsibilities for roads, in that meeting, my role was to basically to listen to the sides of what was going on. I walked away from that meeting very, very happy. I felt that I thought both parties had put across their points. We were not there. We said very little, in fact. So we had the rally on one side of the table. We had Home Affairs, their safety team on another. There was DOI at the other side.
And so when was this? How long ago again?
This was around about the 19th of July.
This is when they were starting to say it was all not happening and we're going to have problems.
This is when Chris Robershaw put his original motion into the floor of Tynwald.
Right.
We organised this meeting, got everyone together in the room. Home Affairs, the officers within Home Affairs safety team put their views forward of what they felt was lacking in that event. Rally Isle of Man, with their safety officer who they brought over from Ireland, which was an incredibly experienced individual, put across their point. We walked away from that meeting. I felt very comfortable that event was going to happen. I spoke personally to Robert Graham, who was the clerk. So did the CEO of the Department for Enterprise, Mark Lewin. And at that discussion, we said, if you need any help, any financial support...
Sounds fantastic.
Let me just...
Yeah, go on.
If you need any financial support, contact us. On the 26th of July, Robert Graham contacted us and said, we may need some help, we may need some support, and this may include an underwriter. And we said, absolutely no problem at all. And on the 26th, we sent out the documentation which relates to our scheme.
Yeah.
The 31st of July, we chased for those documentation again. And as far as I understand, the documents just did not come in. So what happened then, as far as I was aware, in my own head, with a tourist hat on as an MHK, I felt the event was going ahead. I felt very comfortable that everything had been done. Last Thursday, I got a copy of a press release. There was a paragraph in that, and one of the paragraphs was the government failed to offer any financial support. And I went straight to John Gill and said that wasn't true. I said, we've got correspondence to show what we offered you as a department level. We then spoke to Robert Graham. We then had a series of discussions over Thursday, Friday, and going into Saturday. We got confirmation on Saturday that they were very happy with what we were doing, with the level of support that we were offering. So we were very shocked on Sunday afternoon to suddenly be told that the event had been cancelled.
Do you go along with this incompetent line that DOI were doing in my interview? It's very strong language, isn't it? That there was incompetency somewhere within the organisation of the rally. That you're indicating there, the paperwork hadn't been returned, things hadn't happened. You are saying that.
Well, no, I'm not. What I'm saying is that there is between 30 to 40 events that we support throughout the year for tourism benefits.
So you said, yeah.
We also have hundreds of other events, but in particular this event, we're not there to police this event. We're not there to actually check the paperwork. Now that applies to all the other events. Now what I will say is, because a lot of references over the last couple of days about the Isle of Man TT and the Festival of Motorcycle, we have to apply and adhere to the same set of rules as everybody else who puts on events during closed roads. So we don't get any special treatment. Let's put that on the record.
Fine. Who is to blame for this cancellation? Is there a clear answer you can give me, or are you going to say it's bit of this, bit of that? I mean, someone's got to take some responsibility somewhere, right?
I think these types of events, it comes down to the organisers. The organisers, it's their event. I could stage, in a previous life, I used to run all the pool and darts on the Isle of Man. I've held, and I did it for over 28 years, and snooker. So I've put on many events. Now, if I'm not able to deliver that event for whatever reason, the responsibility is down for me. Now, it's a little bit different because this has a very big impact on our tourism sector, and there's been a lot of bed nights, should we say, booked, reservations taken, so it has taken up a big chunk of our market. Now, I'm not going to get into a blame game. I don't think it's what it's here.
But Chris Roberts had a lot of things to say, didn't he? I mean, you watched that interview. What else? Anything else that particularly you want to set the record straight in your
I just felt Chris absolutely was saying that we were not doing enough for the tourism sector. We are. I mean, I'm so grateful for the number of hoteliers that have contacted me over the last 3-4 days.
And he didn't call for your head, did he? I mean, that's the whole thing.
No, because he went for the minister, but I have responsibility for tourism. Yeah. The minister delegated that responsibility down for me.
Are you happy to continue? Do you think you've messed up here? Do you
think
you've got any blame on this?
I don't think you can, because that's what we're saying. There are anywhere between 30 to 40 individual events that we support financially or underwrite throughout the year. There are hundreds of other events that also tap into our tourism sector. All of them stand alone. And that's
what lessons can be learned from this?
I think what we need to make sure is that we speak to Rally Isle of Man. We make sure that whatever...
Can you pick up and... Do you think there's a relationship that's left there? Cause
I don't have a problem with Rally Isle of Man. I've been speaking to...
DOI seem to make it clear that they weren't happy, to say the least, I think. It's probably the most blunt I've ever heard members of a government department do an interview like that. I mean, were you surprised it was so blunt?
I'm not sure exactly where the relationship's broken down, but it did.
It's broken down, hasn't it?
It broke down, but it didn't break down because we did not offer enough support within the Department for Enterprise, and that's
your enterprise,
very disappointing.
What about DOI? Was this a silo mentality issue then? Was Chris Roberts right? No one's talking to each other?
No, it wasn't. It's a bit like when we run the TT. We have cross-government meetings all the time, and there's pressure put on us. There's more pressure put on us every year for the TT and the Festival of Motorcycling, and we have to apply by those. And what we do is we work throughout the year to tick those boxes. Now, taking Chris Robershaw's interview and John Gill's interview, they feel that the set of rules being applied in the Isle of Man is different to what is being set at an international level within the rally sector. Now, I'm not an expert in the rally sector, so those two parties need to discuss each other and say, how can we put this event on next year? That has nothing to do with tourism. What we need to do is to make sure that when events are being staged and bed nights are being booked, that those events go through and actually come to fruition. Now, we did everything else because we offered to underwrite the event to around £39,000 depending on those events taking place. Now that's very crucial. A lot of the underwrites we give, if it's not a grant or an assistance, it's an underwrite, and the only way they pay out is if something failed to happen, and it has to be at all costs that those events go ahead wherever possible.
So you thought after that meeting everything could happen, and it was still a potential at that stage. And yet we're hearing that John Gill's, this sort of, and Chris Roberts about this animosity that was definitely built up between both sides. But did you not see any of that?
I saw it in the meeting, and I felt that both parties, both sides, that from Home Affairs and from Rally Isle of Man, had differing views. But when I left that meeting on the 16th of July with Chris Robershaw, Ralph Peake and others, we all felt that everything was absolutely fine. And I know he's also made criticism of the new Visit Isle of Man agency. That's a brand new agency just being set up. Now that role is to set the policy going into the future. Now unfortunately it is incredibly difficult because this is a private event, so it's nothing really connected to the department, and we had that meeting in July, early in July, and everyone seemed to walk away and said the event was on, so there was no bells being rang. And then suddenly on Thursday we got a correspondence to say that something was happening. So we had very little time to go to the Visit Isle of Man agency.
So certainly Sunday to make a press release seemed an odd day.
It was a bad day. I have to say that personally, that I think that was a bad time to put that out, because it allowed social media to pick this up, and nobody was able to pick up and to give out a clarity on those events until Monday.
Will there be a rally next year in your view?
I don't know. It's not, as I've said, it's not.
You're happy to have a grant, you're happy to underwrite, you're happy to do that?
I would love to see the rally next year. I would love to see, if they need support, if they need an underwrite, they come and speak to the department, we'll fill the paperwork in, we'll give that reassurance, and we'll get this event back on track for next year. So all they've got to do is engage with us and speak to us. It's not the case that we're putting any barriers up. We need more events to boost our tourism, to make the season go longer. So the more events that we can get on, the better it is for our tourism sector, I promise you.